Today's episode is titled Choosing and Using the Word Over the World. Choosing the word could be a way of survival. It could be a way of revival. It's a way walking through life in a broken world while choosing not to let it break you. I grew up hearing my mother say, "There is no rest in this world until death." As a child, I never truly understood this, but as I grew older and walked through the weight of life, I now understand what she meant. A few days ago, I woke up and I felt it. The weight, that overwhelming pressure, an invisible, unplaceable heaviness in my chest. Nothing specific had gone wrong, but I couldn't shake it. It followed me from my bed to the shower, from my mirror to my shoes, from my home to the office. It was the world pressing in. That's what the world does. It presses. It provides fear when all you crave is peace. It drops invisible burdens into your spirit and dares you to carry them in silence. But that morning, I made a choice. As I got ready, I prayed. As I walked, I prayed. As I sat at my desk, I whispered the word, not aloud, but in my soul. And by mid-morning, that weight began to lift. Because when the world gives you heaviness, you have to choose the word. And not just once, but again and again. But the word says in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. The world says worry, but Matthew 6 verse 34 tells us, do not worry about tomorrow. The world says, work harder, earn more, stay busy. But the word tells me in Psalm 46 verse 10, be still and know that I am God. The world offers exhaustion, but the word offers rest. The world says, be perfect. The word says, my grace is sufficient for you. So when your mind becomes busy, filled with anxious thoughts, with fear of the unknown, with regret, with shame, or inadequacy, you must stop and ask yourself, am I choosing the world or the word? The busyness of life will try to convince you that your value is tied to your productivity. But the truth is, you're already valuable before you got out of bed. You were chosen before you even proved yourself. You were loved before you performed anything. So what if every thought that weighed you down was replaced by a scripture that built you up? What if every doubt was answered with a promise? What if every moment you felt scattered, you grounded yourself in the word? The difference between being overwhelmed and being anchored is what you are standing on. Are you standing on the opinions of people, on deadlines, on bills, on fear? Or are you standing on the word? Let me tell you this, when the world presses you down, you rise up by standing on the word. When your emotions swing, the word holds steady. When your thoughts betray you, the word defends you. I no longer wait until everything is falling apart before I choose the word. Now I choose it every morning like breath. Because I know what the world sounds like. I have had enough of it. Now I crave the voice of God. I choose His word. I choose to hear what God says through His word. I choose to repeat what God says through His word. And I choose to believe what God says through His word, because His word does not return void. It heals, it fills, it grounds, and it lifts. So today, say to yourself, I choose the word over the world. Because let us also know that the world doesn't just shout, it also whispers. It whispers comparison when you scroll. It whispers inadequacy when others get ahead. It whispers you are not enough, even after you've poured out everything. But what have I learned? You cannot silence the world unless you fill your soul with the word. Noise must be replaced with truth, not just remote. It isn't about pretending the world doesn't exist. It's about choosing what feeds you versus what drains you. Just as Jesus said when He was tempted, He said it 3 times, it is written. He responded with the word. So we also have to differentiate the difference, whether it's the world that speaks even in silence or in still small voices, or it is the word that is speaking. So each time the world tempts you to quit, the word reminds you why you started. Each time the world rushes you, the word tells you to wait. Each time the world confuses you, the word brings clarity. So tell yourself today, I no longer pretend if I'm okay just to perform for people. I don't wear the marks of strong when my soul crying out to rest. Instead, lean into the word, weep into the word, ask the word for help. Rebuild your day by the word, by the brick of a verse, and by the promise of truth. Because when you choose the word over the world, peace is restored, hope is whispered, joy cracks back in, and the weight, it is lifted, and that's where healing begins. Before you answer another text, before you scroll through another noise, before you let the world hand you its heaviness again, stop, breathe, open your hearts, and say to God, Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. And remember to always choose the word over the world so that it can heal you from every brokenness. Amen.